Hello, I'm Kate Raworth from Doughnut Economics Action Lab, and in this video we will be exploring the need to see the big picture. Because if the donut offers us a compass for a 21st century economy, then what is the map to accompany it? The economic big picture that's presented from mainstream 20th century economics is typically this one, the circular flow of income diagram. It shows households and businesses in the essential market-based relationship, with households providing their labour and capital in return for wages and profit. They can use this for consumer spending, in return for which they get goods and services. So we see the money going round and round and resources going round and round. Yes, there are some leakages through banks, through governments and through trade, but these are re-injected. And so we have a self-contained perpetual motion machine of an economy. What's problematic with this diagram? There are actually many problems with this diagram, not least the depiction of the function of banks and governments, but something much bigger is missing. It's what's left invisible on the page. First of all, the economy is a subsystem of the living world. It is not a self-contained perpetual motion machine. It is continually drawing in matter and energy, and it's continually putting out waste and pollution. And when we recognize that the economy is a subsystem of the biosphere, that means it's drawing matter and energy from the living world and putting out waste and pollution into the living world. Both of these can disrupt the healthy, delicately balanced functioning of the biosphere. And so we need economies that draw no more matter and energy than the biosphere is able to regenerate, and put out no more waste and pollution than the biosphere is able to assimilate. Second, there is much valuable, crucial, unpaid caring labour taking place within households. All the cooking, washing, cleaning, sweeping, raising the children, getting labour fresh and ready for work every day is unpaid but essential work that has to be recognised as a dependency of the market upon its functioning. And it's work typically carried out across the world by women. And so there's a strong gendered dimension to whose work is left invisible in the mainstream economic picture. We also have to recognise the value of the commons, where people come together not through the market or the state, but as a community, co-creating goods and services that they collectively value. Again, when this is missing from the fundamental economic picture, we are missing one of the most dynamic sources of economic activity in the 21st century economy. So much that matters is missing from this diagram. If it's not visible, it won't be taken into account. Policies will not do justice to these issues. Rather than try to tweak and make up for them, let's start anew. And for this, we bring in the embedded economy diagram. So you can immediately see that the economy is shown as a subset of society. The economy is a human construct, and it's shaped and dependent upon political, legal, cultural, ethical rules and norms that differ society to society. And human society, in turn, is embedded within the life-supporting systems of the living world, dependent upon a stable climate, healthy oceans, healthy soil, a recharging fresh water cycle, abundant biodiversity, clean air, and a protective ozone layer overhead. So the economy draws in material and matter, puts out waste and pollution, but these must be aligned with the capacity and the cycles of the living world. When we look within the economy itself, we find that across societies there are 4 widely recognised realms of economic provisioning, 4 different ways that people come together through different kinds of relationships to meet their everyday needs and wants. Mainstream economics typically starts with the market, the provisioning of goods and services through price-based exchange, through the supply and demand by producers and by consumers. And we can also recognise the state providing public goods and services based on tax collection. 20th century economics became so obsessed with the ideological balance between these two that it lost sight of 2 other fundamental forms of provisioning for our needs and wants. Through the household, where we begin every day, that space of care, of cooking and washing, cleaning, sweeping, raising the children, these are seen as core goods and services. They are foundational to well-being and to the ability of society to function. But also through the commons, where goods and services are co-created by commoners who come together and set out rules and the principles by which they will collaborate. It's difficult to think of an economy functioning well that lacks any one of these four forms of provisioning. And that's why the state has an additional role as the economic regulator, the role of enabling and balancing the economic relations between all of these so that they all have the capacity to function well. And within the center of this image, we see financial flows. This is the representation of finance, which should be in service to the real economy, enabling finance to flow to the market, to the household, through the state, through the commons, to enable each of these different means of provisioning. So we need to see balance between these so that all four have the possibility of bringing out their unique qualities without being dominated by another. It's valuable to recognize that all four of these realms can produce many of the fundamental goods and services consumed in a society, such as food, from commercial farming through subsistence agriculture by households, state-owned farms, and shared irrigation through the commons. Likewise, energy can be produced by all four realms, whether it's through commercial market-based production, state-owned energy, household production, or community. And so the embedded economy diagram offers us a top-level map, a big picture, to recognize that the economy is embedded in society, embedded in the living world, and that the economy can provision for our needs and wants through the market, the state, foundationally through the household, and crucially through the commons, financial flows being in support of all of these. That the economy must draw on the living world's resources no more than the earth has the capacity to regenerate them, and must put out waste and pollution no more than the earth has capacity to assimilate them. This is why the economy must be aligned with the cycles of the living world. There are many examples of governments taking action to ensure that the economy is aligned with the living world, to ensure that all four forms of provisioning can thrive, whether market, state, household, or commons. For more details, refer to our web-based Policymakers Guide.